Hey guys, how's it going? It's Chris here, and welcome to a browsing of the Xbox Game Pass as of recently. Today is April 5th, and I'm just going to go through some new games were added I saw a few, and I've wanted to go and talk to you guys about some of the games on here. Basically, I'm going to be recommending good games I think you should download either for Gamerscore or just as a good game. I'm going to be telling you how much Gamerscore you can expect to get from these, or if there are games you should play despite the not great gamer score. So we're going alphabetically, and I don't have this scripted or anything. I'm just going to kind of go through and then point out games as I see them. Obviously, you have the original BioShock on the 360. You guys know BioShock by now. It's a fantastic game series, and you can expect to get about 700 gamer score with like one playthrough of the original BioShock, and I believe BioShock 2 you should expect to get it right around 700, and the completion isn't too terribly hard, maybe 10 to 20 hours, depends on your level of dedication and how much you invest yourself, but still great game. I wasn't a big fan of the original Borderlands, but I know a lot of my friends liked it. I did play it. I played it through to the end. You can get about half the gamer score with one playthrough, maybe a little bit more, but obviously it's way more fun if you play with friends. Obviously, hashtag iDarb, you can get all the achievements in this in 2 to 3 hours, even less than that. Besides the fact that it's easy achievements, it's a fun-ass game to play with a lot of friends. But the only walls for achievements when it comes to it, the only challenge when it comes to getting all the achievements are I think you need a Connect for it if I remember correctly, and you have to tweet out some stuff relating to the game. So there's some really weird achievements, but it's definitely easily doable if you have a Connect. Obviously, BioShock Infinite falls in the same category as the original BioShock. Expect to get 5 to 700 with one playthrough and a very fun game. But remember, these are on the 360, so these are the backwards compatible ones. So graphically, they're not going to look as good, but they will still play just as fine. Now, next we have Bound by Flame. I do remember that this game was a very fun RPG. It had some good combat, had good graphics back in the day too. I don't think I ever beat the game. I think I got stuck at one boss and I just wasn't prepared for it. It's a challenging game, so if you're going if you like the Dark Souls, if you like challenges and just to struggle for reward kind of game, then Bound by Flame is a good game for you. And even for a casual player, it's still, if you invest yourself, it's still a really fun game. So not great for gamer score though. I think I only have like 2 to 500 in it, but I didn't beat the game, so expect to get about half the gamer score for beating the game. We have Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. This is a very easy completion. You don't even have to beat the main game. You can get about 3/4 of the way through the game and get your last achievement there. And there's Maca91 has a guide for it. There are guides everywhere, so that's just a no-brainer if you're going for achievements. Costume Quest 2 is also a very fun game. I still think about this game very often. It was a fantastic game. It's super easy for gamerscore. You can complete this game in about 10 hours, and you're going to have a blast while you're doing it. It's a JRPG, kind of turn-based game, and it's simplistic fun. I don't know. You have different powers based on whatever costumes you put on for Halloween, and it's a goofy, fun game. Now, when it comes to the Darksiders games, the remastered, I didn't play them on the Xbox One. I do remember playing the crap out of Darksiders 1 on the 360, and I really enjoyed it. I got about 600 or 700 from that as well. And Darksiders 2, I never finished, unfortunately. I think I was at the first boss, and then another game came along, and I never went back to Darksiders 2, so I can't say for that. But I do know these games are very highly regarded as great games, and I can attest for Darksiders 1. So I would definitely recommend getting them if you want to get. I would guess for Darksiders 2 equal to Darksiders 1 for 500 or 600 with one playthrough. Depends on how out of the way you go for other achievements. Now, on the opposite side of that, I would not recommend Dead Island, the definitive edition, for achievements because a lot of the achievements are odd numbers. You look through there and there's lots of 11 or 14 or 13 point achievements that will ruin your gamer card or potentially fix it, but then that adds if you fix your gamer card with this game, you're not going to get the completion because then you'll re-break it. So I would stay away from that if you care about gamer score. Other than that, if you don't care about gamer score, and if you're looking for a fun game, it's a fun game. It's good enough to keep you going. Deadlight, I don't know if it does. I haven't looked at it, but I have it downloaded. But if it has anything relating to the original Xbox Arcades achievements, then it's a pretty easy 1,000. Probably take you 5 or 6 hours to do. Maybe even less if you get the guides along your first playthrough. So it's an easy game. Defense Grid 2, I'd recommend downloading that. You can look up some guides. You can probably get about 500 or 600 with one playthrough the story mode, and it's a fun, challenging little tower defense game. I still need to go back and get gold on all the levels, which is where it gets kind of grindy. But as for base experience, the game is very fun, and you can get an average amount of gamer score with it. Now, obviously, Devil May Cry 4, you can't go wrong with Devil May Cry, except if you're going for achievements. That's the only time. Devil May Cry 4 is a fantastic game, and easily my second favorite Devil May Cry game. next to 3, and then with the DMC reboot coming in 3rd place. But Devil May Cry 4, you can probably get 200 to 500 with one playthrough, but then there's a whole bunch of other difficulties to go through, and if you're going for gamer score in a short amount of time, don't play Devil May Cry ever. You're going to have to put like 70, 80 hours just to get a decent amount of gamer score, but the game is so much fun along the way. It's so worth playing. And then obviously same thing applies to DMC, Devil May Cry Definitive Edition. That's a lot of D's in there. Easy, fun game for a good like 400 or 500 gamer score. Fantastically crafted combat system and not a great story. I hated this Dante, but it was a very enjoyable experience when it came to actually playing the game. And the voice acting was good in the game. There's a lot of good stuff, lots of bad stuff. Overall average game, but decent for gamer score. It's a little bit more accessible to new players though than the other games. It's a lot easier. Now, obviously, coming down here, you have Gears of War, a huge list of Gears of War games. If you go through every Gears game in co-op, insane, and get all the collectibles along the way, you can get 3/4 of the achievements. The rest of them are grindy, DLC, map expansions, multiplayer stuff. But when it comes to base game achievements, you can get 3/4 of them by playing through on co-op, insane, and getting the collectibles. When it comes to which game I'd rate the best with which mode, I'd say Gears of War 1 had the best story, Gears of War 2 had the best multiplayer, Gears of War 3 was average all around, and I couldn't stand Gears 4 in Judgment. That's my opinion. It's an unpopular opinion. I understand that, but that's my opinion. And the Gears of War Ultimate Edition was fantastic. I really enjoyed that game a lot. I actually got close to the 1,000 with it if it wasn't for multiplayer. And they even have additional bonus missions you get to play and through the original story to kind of fill in what happened with like the train debacle thing that was going on. Like, what? There's a train now. The bomb's on the train. It actually explains a lot of that stuff. So that's a really great game. Guacamelee, I recommend playing. It's a fun game. I got average amount of gamer score, 500 or 600 in it with one playthrough, and you can do multiple playthroughs, new game plus and stuff. And it's like a platform. I wouldn't really know what to describe it as. It's like a platform puzzle-solving beat-em-up / type of game. It's an amalgamation of different styles, and it's cool, comic-y, just like blocky style. I don't know. It's a really fun game. I liked it, but it might not be for everybody. Obviously, Halo 5 here, if you beat it on Legendary and you get the collectibles, you can get most of the achievements. Some of them are mission-specific, which can get more annoying, like Score Attack. And then the multiplayer is very challenging. People got very, very good at Halo 5 very fast when it came to the perfect headshots, so you can go on online and get completely melted, so... Halo Spartan Assault, expect to get 400 to 600 with a simple playthrough the story. You can get some co-op and multiplayer stuff, but it's a top-down twin-stick shooter, and it's a pretty fun game, but if you're playing by yourself, it can get very boring and repetitive, and you won't get all the achievements by yourself. Now, moving on to Hue, this game should take you 2 to 4 hours, pretty easy, but there's like collectible stuff that you have to get once you beat the game, so you need to get all the colors on the color wheel to go back to old levels and get the rest of the collectibles. There aren't a lot of good guides, and a lot of the guides that do exist, I found are useless because the game was updated that patched some puzzles and made them a little bit harder, so a lot of the old video guides you find might not work entirely correct or as intended because of the patch. So it's still entirely doable. I just went back and finished it up recently, especially if you like puzzle games. This game's for you, and I found it very enjoyable, but only a short burst. I could only play the game for like an hour at a time before I got bored, but once I got back in, I would have a lot of fun with it, but then after an hour, I get bored again. But still, like I said, 2 to 4 hours if you're an average gamer. It shouldn't be that hard. And then we have Night Squad right here. Night Squad's a very easy 1,000. If you have multiple controllers, this will make your life a hell of a lot easier. And it's, in general, just like a top-down... It's like a top-down twin-stick, like, arcade game. It's pretty fun. I don't know. I did a video on it. I did a stream on it. You can watch some gameplay. But the achievement shouldn't take you any more than a couple hours to get, especially if you have multiple controllers or friends to help you out. Layers of Fear, it's an okay game. The game is beautiful. Great soundtrack. Okay voice acting. Okay horror at times. It's not a very scary game. It's disturbing if you read through all the stuff, but if you're just playing, it doesn't have a lot of jump scares. It's not that amazing of a horror game, even though people praise it. I didn't like it a lot, but the game will take you at least 3 or 4 playthroughs of the base game, which only takes an hour and a half or 2 hours for a playthrough, and then you have the DLC, which will take you another 3 playthroughs, so you're going to be playing through this game almost 10 times if you're trying to get every single achievement, which you probably will, but there's a total of 1250, and it's not that hard. You just have to keep playing the game to get multiple endings, but once you go through and get all the collectibles and then focus on the endings, there are guides for all the endings, so it's not that bad. It'll take you like 8 to 10 hours total, maybe, to complete the game if you're paying attention and following all the guides correctly. Limbo down here, you should expect to get 600 to 800 gamer score by playing through and getting the collectibles, but then you have a really hard achievement, which is by playing through the entire game with dying less than 5 times, and that's a challenge. You can get good at it. It'll take you a few hours to practice and learn the levels and learn the puzzles, but you should feasibly be able to do it. I haven't done it yet because I don't have that patience right now, but most other gamers will probably be able to get it pretty easily. Max, the Curse of Brotherhood. I thought this was a very fun game. It would take you about 10 hours to complete. It's just kind of like a side-scroll adventure game where you're trying to save your little brother, and it has some cool little drawing mechanics where you can use your crayon, your marker rather, and you can create bridges and stuff by drawing it. And like I said, easy 10-hour completion if that. Oh, Metro Last Light. This is a game I recommend just based on graphics, story, gameplay, sound design, just everything down to the last detail in this game is phenomenal. The Metro series is one of the few games that I give close to a 10 out of 10. And I absolutely recommend you play these. The completions are not that hard. There are 2 of them. Obviously, Metro Last Light Redux and Metro 2033, except switch those because 2033 is the first game, Last Light is the second game. But you should be able to get both 1,000 in the games for 20 to 30 hours. But they are such enjoyable hours. You can get an average amount of gamer score by playing through each campaign once, but then you have hardcore modes, you have collectible stuff, and by collectibles I mean you have a moral compass you can do. If you want, you can follow along my playthroughs, because I did playthroughs in each of the Redux games, and you can watch me get my moral playthroughs, and you can watch me get those achievements along the way. So I help you out there as much as I can, but the games are just fun anyway. Despite the not easy completion, just play them. They are just amazing games. Oxenfree, great game. Will require you to play through multiple times to get all the achievements, but you should expect an average 600 to 800 gamer score with a playthrough or 2. It's not a very long game. Take it 3 or 4 hours to play through the whole game. Depends on your puzzle solving. It's not even that hard of a puzzle game. It's more over just looking for clues. But it's a cool game. Great story, cool lore. And I like the art style a lot in the game, but like I said, multiple playthroughs, so if that's not your thing, avoid the game. Rise of the Tomb Raider, you can't go wrong with a Tomb Raider game. You can expect to get... I got the 1,000 pretty easy. I have some guides out there for some of the achievements, like the rotisserie achievement, and also had to grind out easy credits for other ones, but then you have to get gold in each of the arcade levels, which was a bit more challenging for some of them. However... look, see, I just finished downloading Late Shift. However, you can expect to get a good 7 to 800 gamer score by playing through it and not worrying too much about the extra side achievements, but it's still a great game. It'll take you 8 hours to play through the story. And then there's also a lot more DLC and bonus stuff, more modes you can play that I have not gone through, which bring the game score total up to a 2,000 potential. So I haven't played it, but I heard Saints Row Reelected was a pretty easy 1,000 after 10 hours or something like that. I heard it was. I don't know. I can't speak for it, but that's off of other people's recommendations. We got Sunset Overdrive, which is a really cool, unique type of game. It's a third-person shooter, but it's really bouncy and arcadey, and lots of cool weapons. It's an apocalyptic game, but it's super colorful and punky, and it's pretty funny. It kind of makes me feel like a third-person, more cartoony Borderlands, but you can get an average amount of gamer score. The rest of them are kind of grindy, and some of them might be a little bit more difficult when it comes to online stuff. But as a base game, a good 800 gamer score you can get out of the 1,000 plus. Super Lucky's Tale, there's should be a pretty easy completion, less than 2 hours, especially if you use a guide. I recommend Maka. He has a guide, and I have not gone through and played this game yet, but I know I can get the 1,000 very easily with his guides. Swapper, easy 1,000, less than 2 hours with a guide. I think that's about it for games to recommend. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like. Check out my other achievement videos in the description and at the end of this video, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Hope you found some use out of this. See ya.